So, in 1880, Canada was making a railway, and they needed workers because they didn't have enough workers to make the railway. So, between 1880 to 1885, approximately 17,000 Chinese immigrants immigrated to British Columbia to work on the Canadian Pacific Railway that they were making. These new workers accepted lower wages because they had just immigrated and needed income. However, some Canadians believed that the new influx of workers would be a threat to their jobs, and it kinda was. So, union workers that hated the Chinese, and politicians that also hated the Chinese, lobbied the government to do something. And they did. In response, Canada added a fixed fine for all Chinese immigrants, which was called the head tax. This was put in place to discourage the Chinese population from immigrating to Canada. It didn't work. This act became the Chinese Immigration Act. While the fine started off as $50, it later rose to $100 in 1990, and then again to $500. Whoops. At $500, a Chinese immigrant would have to save for more than 2 years to afford to immigrate, as it was about 2 years' worth of salary at the time. As you can expect, this caused many financial difficulties for immigrants, as they would have to spend all of the money on the fine and they wouldn't have any money left over for actually immigrating. Meanwhile, Canada made an estimated 23 million, or 1.2 billion in today's money, off of the tax.
In 1914, a boat called the Komagata Maru showed up on the shores of British Columbia. It housed 376 Sikh passengers, mostly from India. The Vancouver MP at the time, H. Stevens, and the immigration inspector, Malcolm Reed, inspected the boat whilst it was docked. Both of these men were against even allowing any of the passengers to step onto Canadian soil. These passengers came to Canada knowing full well it was illegal for them to immigrate in hopes of challenging the law and winning. They had the help of the Vancouver Sikh community in their 2-month-long legal proceeding. During their time docked, no one who came via the boat was allowed off it, including when they ran out of food and water. When the proceeding ended, it was announced their gamble had failed and they were then forced to return to India. Both Malcolm's and Stevens' opposition to their immigration was a sign of the widespread racism in Canada at the time. It took Canada till 1948 to change their policies, but it was too late for the passengers of the Komagata Maru.